Good morning and welcome back to Haywire Homestead. I am doing a collaboration this morning with 50 chickens in a hen house. I think I'm saying that right. And they were doing winter care for chickens. Well, winter just showed up this morning. It is November the 13th. And we got snow last night. Now, I don't think this is going to stick around too long. But we have snow. So what I'm going to show is some of the things that I do to kind of help my birds out throughout the winter. One of the things that I do is I put plastic over the open areas of their coops, like I did on the small bunny hutch coop, as well as the open areas on the large coop. Now I just pull that plastic off whenever it gets warm again, and they get plenty of ventilation and sunlight through that. But for the winter, and I've got a video on it where I put this up, it's a heavy clear plastic. And I'll show you what I mix their feed in, how I do their feed mixture, and what I do with their waters in just a minute. What I feed my laying hens in the winter is I add a flock raiser, a little bit higher protein. So I do about half and half. I do half of the flock raiser, and then I do half of a layer feed. And then I also add a little bit of black oil sunflower seeds and a little bit of cracked corn. So they get just a smidge of the corn in the morning, and then I throw some out in the yard at night right before I get ready to put them up. And corn takes more work for their bodies to digest, so it kind of heats them up a little bit, keeps them warm. So that's why we add that in there. For the freezing temperatures, and I'm getting ready to switch over to these, is instead of using my regular gravity-fed waters that I use in the summer, I use black rubber pans like this one, because I can break the ice in them throughout the day, easily add warm water to warm it up, or just flip it over, dump out the ice, and rinse them out really quick and add fresh water into them. So it's a lot easier than dealing with the gravity-fed ones. If they freeze up, I've got to take them in the house, I've got to run them under hot water, defrost them just to get them open, and then, you know, fill them up with hot water and let them sit for a little bit, and then clean them out and start all over. And this just is a lot easier, takes a lot less time. Morning, guys. Now in the coop, I keep plenty of bedding, which actually right now, today is cleaning day. So this will all get stripped out and put on the garden as composted material. And then I'll put fresh pine shavings in there, and it needs done under there. I rake all that out and put fresh pine shavings down. Making sure that it's free of drafts helps to make sure that they are they can pretty well keep themselves warm together. They huddle up, and I don't ever use a heat lamp, even when it gets really cold. I worry more about the fact that if they get used to using a heat lamp, that they kind of get used to it, and then let's say we have a power outage, and you know, we can't, and it can't turn on, and then they're already accustomed and adapted to that, and then they kind of get a little bit of a shock when they don't have that. It's kind of a crutch for me. I prefer not to use it. It's also a fire hazard, so I would really prefer not to have my chickens get roasted. So yeah, we avoid the heat lamps in regards to the adult chickens. Now, if I had young birds that weren't fully feathered, I would have to use a heat lamp, and because they wouldn't be able to keep themselves warm. But for the hens, as long as they are in a good draft-free environment, they actually are pretty hardy and pretty heat tolerant, or not cold tolerant. Another good thing is to make sure that you have birds that you know, depending on where you live. If you live in a really hot climate, make sure you have birds that do better in hotter climates. If you live in a cooler area, you know, then you want birds that do really well in a cold environment. We're kind of in the middle with our area. We get pretty hot in the summer, and we get, we're in the 20s. With sometimes we will go down to 0 and go and you know, go into the negatives on occasion. So I mean, we can get cold, but usually not atrociously cold. It's nothing like Canada or, you know, some of our northern states or anything like that. And one of the last things that I like to do for my birds, whenever it starts getting cold out and it's also a lot more wet, is I will throw out a couple flakes of hay right in front of the doorway. It gives them something to play in. They like to scratch, eat bugs, seeds, whatever's in the straw. And it also kind of gives, you know, a dry place, especially if we've got snow and ice on the ground. I wish I could find it. I probably can't. Where we had a horrible ice storm last winter, and my chickens were actually ice skating. It was actually kind of funny. So I, you know, put down the straw so that way they don't lose their footing. They get their feet up out of the mud, which is a lot healthier for them. So I want to thank 50 Chickens in a Hen House for inviting me to the collaboration. So if you guys have never been to his channel, go and check that out. And y'all take care. Thanks for watching.